हेलो एवरीवन, वी हैव टू डिस्कस अबाउट दैट। क्वेश्चन नंबर 6 देख लेते हैं जीएस पेपर 3 का। Evaluate the measures and taken by the government to the enhances digital security and the prevent. Question number 6 लिख लेते हैं। Evaluates and the measures and taken by the government to the enhances digital security and prevent the cyber crime, including money laundering. Discuss the role of internal and the corporations and the diplomacies and in the addressing and thus the issues and the promoting the global cyber security. Candidate can start the answer and with the giving basic and the ideas on cyber security and it's the important and also as per the demand of the question and the evaluates and the measures and taken by the government and highlights the role of the international corporation in addressing it. Introduction. Cyber security is the practice and of the protecting and the network computers and data and the programs from the unauthorized and the attack and that aim for the exploitation and cyber security is in India is the becoming and the highly significant and due to the increase in the reliance and on the internet wireless network and the computer system and the government of India and has taken the several measures to enhance the digital and security and the prevents and the cyber crimes and including the money laundering in recent the years and some of the key initiatives are Indian computers and the emergency and response and team the SHARS and CERs CERT and in and the government has the established and the CERT in as the nationals and nodal agencies for the handlings and cyber security threat and the incidents and information technologies amendment act 2008 and this act the provided the legal frameworks and for other e-commerce and the digital transactions and in India's and also lays down and the provisions for the dealings and with the cyber crimes. Cyber crime investigation cells the government has set up and the cyber crime investigation cell in the various states and to the investigated and the prosecute cyber crimes and the national cyber security and policies the government and has the launch the national cyber security policy to strengthen and the country and cyber security framework and ensures the protections of the critical information infrastructure and swachh kendra and this is the botnet and the clinics and the malwares analysis centers and which aims to the tackles and the spread of the malicious and software and the strengthened and the security of Indian and cyber space and awareness programs and the government and is the conducting various awareness programs and the training sessions and for the citizens and organization to educate them on the importance of the cyber security and ways to the prevent cyber crimes. Data protection laws. The government is in the process of the developing other data protection laws to the safeguards the personal data of the citizens and prevent it the misses and the international cooperation and the diplomacy play a crucial role in the addressing the issues of the cyber security and the promoting global cyber security. Some of the key and ways in which they the contribute are the international agreement between the nation help to the establish other common understanding and set of the norms for the cyber security and thus agreement include the Budapest and the conversations on the cyber crimes. and the United Nations group of the environmentals and the expert on the development in the field of the information and telecommunication in the context of the international security UN GGE information sharing international cooperation and the diplomacy facilitate the sharings of the information and intelligence between the countries and on the cyber security threat and the incidents, and this help to the improve the overall global response to the cyber security and threat and the prevent cross the border cyber crimes. Joint investigation between the countries help to the identified and the prosecutes and development and organization involved in the cyber crimes and that the cross the nationals borders and capacity building and international cooperation and the diplomacy also play and the important role in the capacity and building and the technicals and assessment and particularly for the countries and with the limited and the resources to develop their the advanced cyber security and frameworks and global norms. The international cooperation and the diplomacy help to the promote the development of the global norms and the best practices for the cyber security, and which can the help to the establish other common understanding and the approach to the cyber security among countries. In conclusion, international cooperation and the diplomacy are the critically to address the issues of the cyber security and promote the global cyber security, and they help to the ensure and that the nation and work together to tackle the common and threat of the cyber crimes and improve the overall the security of the global digital landscapes. Question number 7. Discuss the impact and of the inequalities and the distributions of the resources and the opportunity on the spirits of the extremist in the Indias and evaluates the role of the government and policies and program in the promoting inclusively development and reducing inequalities. A simple straightforward and questions and where the candidates are need to the write about the impact of the inequalities distribution of the resources on the extremists in India in the second part, and while the about government initiative to the reduce and the inequalities and the promotes the inclusive development. Introductions. Inequalities and the distribution of the resources and can lead to the social and the economically inequalities, which can create a sense of the frustrations and disillusionment and the among the certain groups, and this the can make them more the susceptible and to the extremist and the ideologies that the promise the solution there the grievances body poverty and the lack of the opportunity can also the drives and individuals toward the extremist as other means of the survivals, and the therefore unequals and the distribution of resources can the contribute to the spread of the extremist. The unequals and the distribution of the resources can have a significant impact on the squad of the extremist. Squared of the extremist, and this can the happen and in the following ways: economic inequalities and the inequals and the distribution of resources lead to the economic and the inequalities and poverty, which can the breed and frustrations and the angers among uncertain and sections of the society, and this make them and the vulnerable to extremist and the ideologies, and that the promises to address there the grievances lack of the opportunities and pupils living in the poverty and stricken and areas, and often the lack access to the educations and the healthcare and the employments and opportunities, and this can the drive and them the towards extremes as they see it as other means. It is the means of the survivors politicals and disenfranchisement and in the areas where the resources are not the distributed fairly, and shortens the groups and may feel excluded and from the politicals and possessions and the decisions making, and this fuels either sense of the injustice and the leading to the extremist and social discontent. And unequals and the distribution of resources can also lead to the social tensions and the decisions, and with certain groups feeling excluded and marginalized, and this can the increase the appeals of the extremist ideologies, and that the promote away the sense of the belonging and unity. Unequal distribution of the resources and can create the conditions and that makes the pupils vulnerable and to extremist ideologies, and can the contribution to the spread and extremist role of the government policies in the reducing the inequalities. Government policies play a crucial role in the reducing inequalities. The following are the the some of the ways in which the government policies can help to the reduce inequality. Taxations: the government can use the tax policies to the redistributes and the wealth and income, and by the levying and highest taxes on the wealthy and using the revenues and to the support programs and that the benefits the poor and the middle class. Social safety nets: government can the implemented social safety net program and such as the food assistance and the implemented benefits and the housing subsidized died and to the provided the basics levels of the supports for those and who are the some struggling and to the make ends meet. Education and job trainings: investment in the education and the job training can help to the reduce the inequalities by the providing individuals with the skill and knowledge and they need to the complete and for the better paying job. Affordable housings: the government and can the implement policy to the increase the supply and of the affordable housings such as the zoning laws and the tax incentives and for the developers and the subsidies and for the low incomes and the renters. And healthcare: providing the access and to the qualities healthcare can help to the reduce the inequalities and by the ensuring and that the everyone's and has access to the medical care and they need to the regardless less of the their the income and level. Government policies can play other significant role in the reducing inequalities by the redistributing and wealth and the income and providing the support to those in need and the investing in programs and that help to the levels the playing field. And Indian government policies in the promoting the inclusively development: the Indian government has implemented and various the policies to promote the include development in the countries. Some of the thus policies includes Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana (PMJDY), and this scheme aims to the promote and financial inclusions to the unbanked and populations and by the offerings and them the access to the range of financials and services and such as the savings and deposit account, remittances, credit and the insurances and the pensions. Skill India Mission, and this the initiatives and the focus on the providing job and oriented trainings to the youth and the enhance there's the employ and the availability and the increase there's the income level. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, in this campaign aims to the clean and up the threads of the street and road and the infrastructures of the India's and cities towards and the rural areas and to the eliminated open and defecations. Housing for all by the 2022, and this schemes aims to the provide and affordables and housings to the economically and weaker section and low the income and group up in urbans and the rural areas. Make in India's, and this the initiatives aims to the promotes and India as other manufacturing hub and the encouraging and the companies and to set up the manufacturing units in the countries and thereby the creating and job opportunity. Digital India: this program focus and on the leveraging and technology to the transformations and the countries and into other digitally empowered and the society and knowledge economic national health missions. This missions aims to the provided the universal access to the affordables and the qualities health care services to all the citizens and especially the poor and the vulnerable sections and of the society. The conclusion: government play a crucial role in the reducing the inequalities by the implementing policies and the programs that address the root and causes of the inequalities and providing the supports to the marginalized communities. Some of the ways and in which the government can the reduce and inequalities and progressive taxation, investment in the education, social the safety and nets and access to the health care and affordables housing. Thus the measures and can help to the reduce the inequality and the promotes the inclusiveness. Question number 8: analyzes the role of the external state and the non-states and actors in the fundings and supporting extremists and the group in India, and the measures taken by the governments and by to the address and this the issues and evaluates and the effectiveness of the international cooperation and the diplomacies in the addressing cross borders and terrorism and the maintaining and regional stabilities approach. Candidate can start the answer and with the giving basic ideas and external state and the non-state action actors affecting an Indian the security explains the measures and the evaluates its the effectiveness of the international collaboration. Introductions and the internal state and the non-state factors actors and play other significant role in the funding and the supporting extremist and group in India and thus the actors and the provided financials and the logisticals and the support and to the thus the group to carry out and their the activities. This support is often the motivated by the religion, political or the ideological goals body. The role of the external state and the non-states and actors and in the supportings an extremist group and the remain a major concern and for India's the international community. The effort are the underways and to the counters and this the supports and to the disrupt the financial network and there the fund thus the groups. State actors such as the Pakistan and has been the accused of providing support to the extremist and group the operatings in India, including funding trainings and the IMS non non-state actors and such as the international terror and the organization has also and been the known and to support the extremist and group in India. It is also the important and to note and that the sometimes and the fundings for the thus and the groups and can come from the sources and within the Indias and such as the organized crime syndicates and wealthy individuals or the charities and that have been the inflicted and by the extremist group. In response to this the threat the Indian government and has taken the several measures to the address the issues of funding and the support for the extremist group and some of the measures includes strengthening domestic laws and the regulation. The India's government has the strengthened it is the domestic laws and the regulation to the claims and down on the illegal activities such as the money launderings and the terror financings, intelligence and gatherings and the sharings. The Indian's intelligence agencies has been the working to gather information on the sources of funding and the support for the extremist and group and the sharings and it with the international partners. The interdictions and the disruptions and operations and the Indian security forces and have the carried and out the operations and I'm said the disrupting the financial network and that and the funds and extremist group and including the confiscations of the asset and the asset of the individuals and involved in thus the activities. Diplomatic pressures and the India's government has also been the exerting diplomatic pressure on the countries and organizations that the provide the support and to the extremist group calling and for them to and there's the support. Public awareness and education. The Indian government has been the workings to the raise public awareness and about the issues of extremist group and their the sources of the funding and with the aims of the reducing support for thus the group. International cooperation and the diplomacy have the play and the important role in the addressing cross-border terrorism and the maintaining regionals and the stabilities. However, the effectiveness of thus the effort and can the vary greatly and the depending on the specific content and the actors involved. International cooperations and the diplomacy have led to the development of the global frameworks and the combating terrorism such as the United Nations Global Counter and Terrorism Strategy and FATF, which provides the basis for the countries and to work together to address and this the threat. Additionally, and the multilaterals and the bilaterals agreement and between the countries and have the enabled the sharing of the intelligence, coordination of the law enforcement activities and the extraditions of the terrorism and across the borders. On the other hand, and there are also challenges in the international cooperation and the diplomacies in the addressing and cross-border terrorism. For example, some the countries and may have the different and the definitions of the terrorism and which can make it the difficult and to reach either consensus and on the appropriated response to the special threat. Additionally, and there may be the political and economic and the ideological and differences between the countries and that the hinder their the availability to the cooperation identity effectively and the addressing cross the border terrorism. Conclusion. Overall, while the Indians and the government has taken the several measures to address the issues of the fundings and support for the extremist group, it is the remains and the challenging and ongoing the problems. It is the required the continued and cooperation of the international partner as well as the sustained and effort by the Indian government and civil society to the counters the threat posed by the thus groups. Question number 9 and discuss the impact of the use of the digital technology by the extremist group in the promoting their the ideologies and the disrupting and internal security in India. Evaluates the measures and taken by the government and to the monitor and prevent the spread of the extremist propagandas online and enhance digital security approach. Candidate can start the answer and with the giving basic ideas of the how extremist and group uses the digital technologies and the simply evaluate the measures taken by the government to take on situations. Introductions. Widespread availability of the digital technology including the socials and media platforms and the encrypted and the communication tools and has the enables an extremist group to the reach other wider audience and the carry out their the activities and more the effectively. The use of the digital technology and by the extremist group has had either significant impact on their the availability to promote their the ideologies and disruption international security in India body. Promotion of the extremist and the ideologies. Digital technology has the enable extremist and group to the disseminated and their the ideologies and propagandas to other wider audience and including the vulnerables and populations, and this has the allowed and them to the rich potentials and recruit strengthening and the domestic law and the regulation and the Indians and government and has the strengthened and it's the domestic laws and the regulation to regulate the use of the digital technologies and claim down and on the illegal activities and such as the spread of hate the speech at the incitement to the violence and the countering and the online extremism. The Indian government has also the been and the working to the counter online the extremist and the by the promoting counter narrative and the alternative viewpoints and through the social medias and other the digital platforms. Enhancing the cyber security, the Indian government has been the strengthening and its the cyber security and capabilities to detect and the prevent the use of the digital technology and by the extremist group to the carry out their the activities. Conclusion. While it has and the presented new the challenges and for the Indian government effort and are the underways to the counter this the threat and to the ensures and the safe and the secure and use of the digital technologies for all the citizens and the transparent and the accountable and approach to the digital security along with the meaningful and the engagement and with the civil society and the stakeholder can the help to the ensures and that the measures taken are the effective and the proportionated. Question number 10 analyzes the impact of the plastic waste on the marine ecosystems and the measures and taken by the government and other the stakeholder and to the reduce and the plastic pollution and discuss the opportunities and challenges in the promoting sustainable alternative in the single use plastics approach. A simple and the straight and forwards and questions and where the candidates needs to the right and about the impact of the plastics and waste on the marine ecosystem in government and the measures and to the curb and plastic population in the second portion of the answer and write about the sustainable alternative for the single use plastic. Introduction. Plastic has become one of the most and the pressing environmental issues and that we are the facing today. India is the generating about the 3.5 million tons of the plastic and vast the annually plastic waste generations impact marine ecosystem badly, hence there is the urgent and need for the promoting the sustainable alternative for the single use plastic body. Impact of the marine plastic waste and the plastic and waste the blocks and our the sewers and threatening the marine life and the generating and the health and risk for the resident in the landfill or the nationals and the environment and the financial cost of the marine plastic and the populations. pollutions are the significant as well as the according to the forecast and made in the March 2020 the direct harms and to the blue economic of the Association of the Southeast Asians and nations and will be the as USD and 2.1 millions per years. Enormous social and the cost accompanies and thus the economic and coast and resident of the coastal regions and suffer from the harmful and health the impact of the plastic pollution and the waste brought in by the tides. Boat may becomes and the endangered in the abandoned and or the discarded and fishing the net or there's the engines and may the become blocks and with the plastics and the debris. It can the created problem and for the industry and such as the shipping fisheries and the cultures and the maritimes and tourism and which affected the livelihoods and of the coastal community and steps and taken so far. Glow Littles and the partnerships and projects and it is the launch and by the International Maritime and Organization IMO and the Food and the Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations and FAO and the initials and fundings and from the government of the Norway and to the prevents and the reduce and maritimes and plastic litters and from the shippings and the fishings and it will be the also and the assist and developing the countries and reducing the marine litters and including the plastic litters and from the within the maritime transports and the fisheries sectors and to the decrease the use of the plastics in thus the industries also the assist and in the identified and opportunities to reuse and the recycling plastic in 30 countries including and India's have the joined this the global initiative to tackle the marine litters and World Economic Day in 2018 and hosted in India's and the world leaders and void and to beat plastic population and the eliminated and it's the use the completely significant to India. Plastic waste management rules 2016 and the state that every the local bodies has to be the responsible and for the setting up the infrastructure for the segregations and the collections of processing and the disposals of the plastic waste and plastic waste management amendment rules 2018 introduced the concept of the extended and the producers and responsibilities and EPR and designing other product identify plastic items and that can be the replaced and with the non-plastic recyclables and the biodegradables and materials is the first step and countries must the embrace circulars and the sustainable economic practices and the thought out the plastic and the value chain to the accompanies and this and the pricings and the plastic are the expensive and which the provide and the favors and economic incentives to the employ the recyclings and the plastic and balancings price and structure with the environmental health and should be the priorities technologies and the innovation developing tools and the technology to be the assist and the government in the emissions and the monitoring plastic garbages in the cities and should India should start the project and like the closings, the loop project of the United Nations, Economic and the Social Commission for the Asias and the Pacific, which assist and the cities in the developing and more the inventives policies and the solution to take us the problems and promoting the plastics and free the workplace and all the single use goods and can be the replaced and with the reusables and items or the more sustainable single use alternative producer responsibility extended the responsibility can be the apply in the retail and packaging and sectors where the producers are responsible for the collectings and the recyclings and product and that they the launch into the market municipal and the communities actions and the beach and rivers clean ups and public awareness composition and disposals and the plastics bags and bans and the levies multi-stakeholder collaborations and government ministries and aid the national and the local levels and must the collaborations in the development implementations and oversighting of the policies and related and to the plastic waste management. Recently, the researchers and aid the Indian Institution of the Science and the Bengaluru IISc have found other way to make other substitute and for the single-use plastic SUP and that can in the principles and help the mitigates the problem of the accumulating and plastic waste in the environment and key point. In the research, non-edibles and the castors and oil was used in this the process of the making the polymers and which the involve and allowing them to the reactant with the cellulose and from the agriculturals and suitubes and the DO and the isoniates and the compound, and thus the polymers and can be the molded and into the seeds and having the properties suitables and for the making bags and the cutlay and or the containers the materials and show mates is the biodegradables and leak and proof and the non-toxin and the possibles and the advantage addressing the problems of the single use plastic and SUP and giving the surge and in the usage of single use plastic and the challenges of the managing the landfill choked with the SUP and such the alternatives and could the bringing the paradigm and shift the especially in the packaging sectors the largest consumer of SUP tackling agricultural and the stubbles and problems agricultural stubbles and warning is responsible for air the pollution in the several northern state in India in Delhi and from the example the air qualities index the depth and to the indicates several or the hazardous levels of the population pollution every and winters and this is the due in the part and to the warnings of the agriculture stubbles in the surrounding region and using the agriculture stubble for the replacement of single use plastics will not the address the problems of the air pollution and will the generated additional incomes and the opportunities and for the farmer also use in the healthcare facilities as the materials and is the biodegradables and the non-taxes and the researchers and the plannings and to use the materials for the healthcare applications also conclusion according to other report and all the plastic waste and produced and in the world 80% enters and the environments and the accumulations and of the plastic waste and the detrimentals to the environment and the when this waste and finds and it's the way and into the sea and there can be the measures and harms to the aquatics ecosystem and countries must the embrace and the circulars and the sustainable economic practices thought out the plastic values and chain to the reduce plastic pollutions. Thank you guys, this session will be closed.